Pecanhill Farms. It's kind of a rainy day out there today. Not much I can do outside. So I thought I'd start a project here on this piece of furniture. Me and my wife like to go to estate sales. And we always like to go about 2 hours before it's going to close on the last day. And because that way you can get your best buys. And I used to do a lot of upcycling of furniture. For 2 or 3 years I would go to estate sales, buy furniture, and I would upcycle it. A lot of times, if it was a good enough piece, I might refinish it, or I might sand it down and paint it. And painted furniture sells pretty good if you can do a good job on it. And there's some money to be made on it. You're not going to be a millionaire or anything, but you can make a little bit of money. And I did that for 2 or 3 years, and then the garden and the project with the car and everything's coming along. I just didn't have time to do it anymore. But to me, this is kind of a typical piece that I would buy and try to upcycle. I think I ended up paying $8 for it, and it's kind of an antique, I think. A lot of ways you can tell is by what kind of screws are holding it together. The Phillips screw was invented in the 1930s, and so soon after that, manufacturers, especially in the automotive industry, started going to Phillips screws, and eventually the furniture makers changed over to Phillips screws. So you can usually tell the age of a piece and what kind of screws it has in it, unless they've been replaced by Phillips screws. But this one here looks like it's all still the old slotted type screws, and so you would have to think that it's probably made before 1940. Still has the old slotted type screws. So usually when you find a piece like this, the finish is bad. Maybe it has some dings on it. Right here we have a little split here in the wood on the top. It's going to have to be re-glued down. And it's wobbly. And I know a lot of people come up and look at this table and they'll grab it and it's wobbly and they'll walk away. Well, usually that's pretty easy to fix. And so anyway, this would be a perfect piece to restore. It's good shape. There's not hardly any problems with it. A little split there in the top that can be glued back, fixed. A little wobbly that we can re-glue this and put some new, maybe some new screws in it. Might need some new screws. And they've come along here, and in different places here, because it's wobbly, they have hammered finish nails in the leg, the tops, down into the legs, trying to take that wobble out of it. So those will have to be taken out. Sometimes that can be tough because you can hard to get those nails out. Sometimes you damage the wood, but a little putty and a little wood filler, and sand it, and it'll look good as new. So the first thing I would do is take it and take it apart. Screws should, luckily these screws here will come out pretty easy. Sometimes people have put them in and out so many times that they're worn out and you can't hardly get your screwdriver in there and get a hold of anything. But these are all pretty good and they all come out pretty easy. So I'd start taking it apart. Get it into pieces, save your screws. If it's a piece that's real complicated, take your phone, take pictures how it's put together while you take it apart. That way, you know, if you get delayed and it's a month later and you go ready to put it back together, and you can't remember how you put it back, where everything went, you can get to your look on your phone and help you remember where all the screws went. Trust me, it happens. And it's happened to me a lot. So right there, the bottom piece up here is pretty nice. It's a little rough around the edges here, but we can fix that up with a little sandpaper. So that's pretty good. So now we'll take the legs apart. Take these braces apart. These little brackets, I try to have a little place here that I try to store everything, so I keep track of it. I find it's enjoyable work, but when you have a booth and you're selling stuff and you feel the pressure to keep that booth full, because if there's nothing in it, you know, you can't sell anything. So that can get kind of tedious. But when it's just something here like you do it for fun, it's you know, it's nice. I like to take things apart, put them back together, make it look nicer. There's some satisfaction of that. Don't put too much pressure on yourself and try to do too many too fast. It's a nice hobby to have. I'm gonna get this thing apart here, and we'll come back when we have it all taken apart. You can see it. Okay, so we're back. We've taken this table apart, and let's see what we're going to have to do to make this a nice piece for somebody. As you can see, some of the holes that were put in it as they used finished nails to try to repair it. So on four sides, I've got holes to repair, and over here, so all four sides we got holes to repair. Then we've got a split right here. You can kind of see it give maybe when I move it. Right in there, there's a split. We'll have to repair that. These legs, these cross braces are pretty good. Not bad. Maybe a little wore out right there, but we can fill that. That's no problem. This bottom piece is good. There's no problem really there. Just remove the finish and sand it down, smooth it out. The legs here at the top, so you see where they drove those nails in there, that'll have to be worked. Each one of them has problems like that. This one here still has a nail in it. I'm going to have to get that out. They ran it in there to try to secure this peg, keep it from being wobbly, and there on the back side there's some damage that'll have to be fixed. And right here you can see this leg was wobbly at one time, so they drove some nails through. Where's the heads on those things? It's hard to see the heads, but they drove them through to try to stabilize that leg. So I'll have to take all that out, and then this peg here, if it's glued in there, I'll probably have to drill that out and get another one to replace it. So everything here looks pretty good. You know, it's about what you expect on something that's maybe 80 years old, 90 years old. And it's no telling where it's been, where it was made. Sometimes there's tags on there that shows where it's made, but a lot of stuff around here I've run across in this Dallas-Fort Worth area was made in Arkansas, furniture manufacturers in Arkansas. Paris, Texas used to have some furniture manufacturers. I bought stuff that was made in Paris, Texas. Everything was regional back then because of the highway system. There weren't really good highways, and so every region, every area had their own furniture makers, their own bicycle makers. So everything was regional, and that's why in different regions you'll find that your parts are made and your furniture is made from that area. So anyway, so I'll have to get out the sander, fix this little split here, and see if we can't knock some of this finish off, and we'll be back to show you that. Thank you much. Okay, we're back. I went ahead and put some of this wood filler in the holes using this stuff right here, this Elmer's Pro Bond wood filler. To be honest, the reason I'm using it is that I went to Lowe's a while back and they had the stuff marked half price or 75% off. I don't know, they're trying to get rid of it, and I just couldn't pass that up. So that's why I'm using that. And I filled my holes here. It's not rocket science. Just take it, fill it up, and I've come over here and glued this split here, and I put a clamp here just to hold it together while it dries. So we're going to let that dry up real good, and then we'll come back and we'll start sanding this down. Take this old finish off. So now the spot here we'll have to work on. Sometimes you can fix those with just your sander, but we'll have to work on that a little bit. And come back, sand it, get it ready, and then we're going to have to talk about a color, some kind of color to use. So we'll be back after this dries and sand this up.